Cambridge IGCSE Chemistry May June 2020 Paper 4, Part 2. Question 4. This question is about reactions of bases and acids. Part A. Ammonia is a gas at room temperature. What is the test for ammonia gas? Describe the positive result of this test. Ammonia is a popular example of a base, so when we want to test for it, we use damp litmus paper. The litmus paper will turn blue in the presence of ammonia. Part B. Ammonia reacts with water to form ions. NH3 plus H2O gives NH4 plus OH minus. How does this equation show that ammonia NH3 behaves as a base? You can see that ammonia has gained a proton and became an ammonium ion with a positive charge. This shows that it's a proton acceptor, which is a characteristic of a base. Aqueous ammonia is described as a weak base. Suggest the pH of aqueous ammonia. The pH scale is from 1 to 14, so if it's a weak base, it can be any from pH 8 to 11. I'll write pH 10. Describe what is seen when aqueous ammonia is added to aqueous copper 2 sulfate until no further change is seen. This is one of the tests of a cation, in this case copper 2 ion. So when ammonia is added, at first blue precipitate will be formed. But as you add more of it, the precipitate will dissolve and a deep blue solution will remain. Part C. Aqueous sodium hydroxide NaOH AQ is a strong alkali that reacts with dilute sulfuric acid exothermically. What type of reaction is this? Adding an alkali and an acid together, it's neutralization. Complete the equation for the reaction between aqueous sodium hydroxide and dilute sulfuric acid. In neutralization, salt and water will be produced. So first write water, and the salt should be the remaining ions added together. Part D. A student wanted to find the concentration of some dilute sulfuric acid by titration. The student found that 25 cm³ of 0.04 mol per dm cube NaOH reacted exactly with 20 cm³ of H2SO4. Name a suitable indicator to use in this titration. We need to use methyl orange, which changes color from orange to yellow when alkali is present. Calculate the concentration of the H2SO4 in mol per dm cube using the following steps. Calculate the number of moles of NaOH in 25 cm³. The question has given us the volume and the concentration of NaOH. To find the mole, use the formula. The number of mole equals to the volume multiplied by the concentration. Remember to change the unit of volume to dm³ by dividing it with 1000. The answer is 0.001 mole. Deduce the number of moles of H2SO4 that reacted with the 25 cm³ of NaOH. Time to use the balanced equation above. The ratio of NaOH to H2SO4 is 2:1. So if the mole of NaOH is 0.001 for H2SO4, it will be 0.0005 after dividing it by 2. Calculate the concentration of H2SO4 in mol per dm³. Now we know the number of moles of H2SO4 and its volume given in the question. We can calculate its concentration. Concentration equals to the number of moles divided by volume. Again, remember to change cm³ to dm³ by dividing it by 1000. The answer is 0.025 mol per dm³. Calculate the concentration of the 0.04 mol per dm cube NaOH in gram per dm cube. Now we need to change its unit. Well, if I were to go straight to the point, all you need to do is multiply the concentration in mol per dm cube with the relative molecular mass of NaOH to convert it to gram per dm cube. But the reason behind this is because the number of moles equals to mass over the relative molecular mass, and since we are just changing the upper part of the unit, mole to gram, the mass, all we need to do is multiply the number of moles with the relative molecular mass to change it to the mass. The relative molecular mass of NaOH can be found in the periodic table. Na is 23, O is 16, and H is 1, and they add up to 40. So 40 times 0.04 mol per dm cube, it's 1.6 gram per dm cube. Question 5. Ethanol is manufactured by two different processes. Part A. For each process, name the organic reactant and state the type of reaction. Two ways to make ethanol, and thereby fermentation or by hydration. For fermentation, you need sugar, and for hydration, you need ethene. Part B. Alcohols can be oxidized to form carboxylic acids. Name a suitable oxidizing agent for this reaction. It's the famous acidified potassium manganate 7, one of the strongest oxidizing agents. Part C. Alcohols can be partially oxidized to form aldehydes. Aldehydes are a homologous series of organic compounds. Partial oxidation is achieved by reacting an alcohol with the oxidizing agent in distillation apparatus as shown. So I guess this will be where the alcohol and oxidizing agent are at, and distillation is occurring here. Name the apparatus A. It's the condenser where gas particles are changed to liquid. On the diagram, use one arrow to show where water enters apparatus A. Water always enters from the lower inlet, so the arrow should be here. Part D. The table shows some information about aldehydes. Complete the table. I know that aldehydes aren't a part of your syllabus, but you can still do the questions as it applies the same rule with other homologous series of organic compounds. CH2O has one carbon, so obviously it's gonna start with meth, and seems like the other compounds end with Al, so it's gonna be methanol. For butanol, there should be 4 carbons, and we can see the pattern here. There is always one oxygen, and the number of hydrogen molecules is always twice the number of carbon molecules. So it should be C4H8O. Deduce the general formula of aldehydes. Find the pattern of these compounds. Carbon starts from 1 and goes up by 1 every time. Hydrogen starts from 2 and increases by 2 every time. Oxygen is always 1. So the answer is CnH2nO. Part E. The structure formula of ethanol is shown. The C double bond O group in aldehydes is at the end of the carbon chain. This is a reactive part of the molecule. What is the name given to the reactive part of any organic molecule? The reactive part, like C double bond O, is called a functional group. Complete the dot and cross diagram to show the electron arrangement of a molecule of ethanol. Inner shells have been drawn. Okay, we can easily solve this question by referring to the structure formula. The CH bonds here tell us that they share 1 electron each. So draw them as dot and cross bonds like this. There is also a C-C bond, meaning these two carbon atoms share one electron as well. Lastly, C-double-bond-O bond represents that two sets of electrons are being shared between carbon and oxygen. Finally, check that each atom has a full outer shell. Hydrogen has 2 each, both carbon atoms have 8, and for oxygen we can see that it only has 4 and is missing 4 electrons. The diagram is complete. Part F. Propanol belongs to a homologous series called ketones. Ketones have the same C-double-bond-O group as aldehydes, but the C-double-bond-O group is not at the end of the carbon chain. Propanol has the same molecular formula as propanol, C3H6O. What term is used to describe molecules with different structures but with same molecular formula? We have a new type of inorganic compound here called ketones. They won't give questions that you can't solve, so don't worry, this is also doable. So propanol has different structures from propanol, since the structure of ketones are different from aldehydes. But propanol and propanol both have the same molecular formula, which is C3H6O. I hope you got this point. Well, what's the name of this kind of molecules? They're called structural isomers, or you can just write isomers. Suggest the structure of propanol C3H6O. Show all of the atoms and all of the bonds. Alright, don't panic. They gave us a hint in the question that the C-double-bond-O group is not at the end of the carbon chain, so it should be somewhere in the middle. We only have 3 carbon atoms to draw, so obviously C-double-bond-O will be on second carbon, like this. Now it's easy, just fill up the rest of the bonds with hydrogen, since we have already drawn all 3 carbon atoms and 1 oxygen atom. These 2 carbon atoms should have 3 hydrogen atoms each, since carbon atoms need 4 shared bonds. That's the end for this paper. I'll be doing more IGCSE May 2020 papers in the future, so subscribe and stay tuned. Thank you for watching and tell me what you think about this paper in the comments. Stay safe and God bless you guys. Bye!